Good afternoon. This is Jason with the one and only John Hardin.
Hi.
This is probably my first in-person interview in a while, and man, have I missed it. This is kind of my roots. If you remember when I started doing this, I wanted the in-person effect because it's just way more fun instead of talking over a computer screen. And
well, we got this killer view too, man.
It is a view.
You can't see it. All you can see is this, and I'm sorry for that, but this behind you guys is pretty nice.
It's really nice. And so I've literally, like, I reached out to John months ago, and he's like, let's, I got a few big things happening. Why don't we wait a little bit, and then we'll reconvene later on when times are getting closer, and times are getting closer.
They definitely are.
And
no doubt.
Yeah, and I can't imagine what's going through your head because he's doing some doing some big stuff. So John, I think first off, John is the founder, brainchild of Hardwin Adventures, which if you run any races in Tennessee, if you've not ran a Hardwin adventure race, you're missing out. Some pretty iconic races.
Thanks, man.
Black Toe, which Black Toe is renowned for having the worst weather ever.
Yes.
It does not matter what year.
Yeah.
The year I ran it, I think it took me 2 hours to go 5 miles because I slid down the side of a hill.
It's always brutal.
It doesn't matter.
God picks out that day just to So I can't win on that day, but that's okay. The majority of the time I get away with it. Even with the Music Signature Ultra this year, I changed it the day, and I never changed the Music Signature Ultra. And the week after, I changed it a week, and the day that it was supposed to be on, it snowed. It snowed terribly. So I've been fortunate. But on Black Toe.
Never. It doesn't matter. You can change that. You can change that dog anytime you want, but it's going to still be terrible.
That's right.
But John just recently took on the Savage Golf Marathon / 25K. I took part in that 25K. Amazing race, very difficult course. Very much worth checking out.
My popping technique didn't work out. It was terrible.
It was BS.
Yeah.
There was 5 of, and man, of course I think
I tested that with Austin. I was like, Austin, I think this popping thing works, and he's like, I don't know. I was like, well, it's working for me. And then I saw y'all's video, and I was like, man, maybe that was terrible.
Were there 2 of y'all on the bridge?
No, it was just me.
Oh, okay, well, there was 5 of us on the bridge.
Okay, maybe that's the problem.
I think rules were broken that day.
Yeah, I think so too.
On several levels. But
those bridges are kind of sketchy, man.
Those bridges are sketchy as hell, man. That whole area, if you've never been out there, it is rocky, rooty, and arguably one of the toughest courses around here.
Of course.
Period. And what makes it even tougher is the fact that the aid stations are kind of remote and hard to get to.
Yeah, and from an RD perspective, it was just. You got in one aid station, it's 2 hours to get to it. Not just from the road, but once you get into the trail, it takes about 2 hours to get in.
Yes.
And we forgot electrolytes. The crew forgot to pack electrolytes, and so we're just rushing to get electrolytes to that aid station.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So. But he is the man behind a lot of good races, and I think everybody knows about his races. At least most of the people that are watching today, most people know the John Hardin model / Ultrarunner story. We heard that on the Adventure Jogger.
Should have never said that.
Ryan, me and Ryan talked a lot about you being a model that day at Savage Golf.
I should have never brought any of that up. Mistakes were made. That's okay.
But we're here to talk about the big thing that John's going to do. And one thing that I'm really excited about with this is John is going to attempt the FKT of the Appalachian Trail. And that is no small thing.
No.
Just the scale of that. But I guess before we get into the who, what, when, why, all of that, John already owns a couple FKTs. He owns the Ozark
Highlands, 164 miles.
And then what's the other one?
The Shell Toei Trace. I'm still the record holder on both of them, actually. The Shell Toei was done in 2018, and I think or 2017. I can't remember. And then the Ozark the year after. And the Ozark took twice because we got flooded out by a river halfway through. And so I had to go back in December and attempt it again. And I got it the second time.
So why? I guess what moved you toward the FKTs? And I guess let me preface it by saying, is it one of those things where you've already ran a lot, you've already done a lot, you just wanted to try something different, or you just like the challenge and the logistical of the FKT?
So it's a combination of things. I do enjoy races. Every time I go to a race, like I was at a race, I was at Rim Runner this weekend, and I was like, oh man, I really enjoy being at a race and seeing everyone, but I don't get the same I get so much more satisfaction going through an experience, a very deep experience of the FKT, and it's a full-on experience, especially when you're putting everything into it and you're giving it your all. I've compared it to this before, but it's almost like going to war with buddies, and when you come back, you're even depressed, like you didn't want to ever leave that from which you came, because it's such an intense experience. And I just can't find anything else like that in life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a beautiful experience. It's super hard, and I love the logistical aspects of it. I love, I love training and doing a good job. And so, that's kind of what I like about it.
So, when you talk, and I guess it's kind of intense to some extent, because
it's very intense.
Because you're basically chasing the clock all the time. You're chasing the cutoff.
You are
from the minute you start, basically.
You're constantly on. There's not and we can go into strategy, and I can share some of it. But I mean, this is all about efficiency, and you can train to whatever. But what's going to win the day, especially on a trail like the AT, is efficiency, and string being kind of laid the land on that, and then Carl, he even had it better because he was even more efficient, because he would go out all day and sleep wherever he landed at 16 hours, 17 hours, and then but he would have crew in between. So this is all about efficiency, moving really well. I can tell you that I was having a dinner conversation last night, even though it's not much of a dinner conversation. I feel bad peeing. Like, I don't stop, and it's full on, and it's intense as shit.
I mean, that's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do.
Who was it? I was listening to, was it Zach Miller one time was talking about running a race, and he was in a showdown. It was like him and another guy, and they were like this, right? And he was talking about how he could not stop to pee, so he had to learn how to pee and run.
So I've tried that. It's and maybe Zach's more endowed than me, but I am I'm not good at that. I've had some, and then you run into the problem of people coming towards you on the trail when you're with your wahoo out, and
that'd be awkward.
Yeah, it is. I promise you.
Yes. Might be some phone calls.
And you can't just stop.
No, you can't. Stop. You can't stop.
So it's just like, I'm sorry. Like, why? What's going on?
Why can't you just stop and pee up against a tree?
Yeah.
So when we think about that, right, and you think about the AT, and why go after something of this magnitude? Because there's I think you've mentioned this in posts and whatnot. It's a physical commitment. It's a family commitment, right? Because you got a family. The family is invested into this as well. And then there's the commitment of your friends and the folks who are going to be helping you out there. And then what a lot of people don't realize is there's a financial commitment.
Significant
financial commitment, because I know from watching through hiking videos how much people spend through hiking it. So I know that there's a huge financial commitment in just trying to navigate down, and I would imagine it's pretty significant. So why take on something of this magnitude?
That's a very big question, right? And there's a lot of ways to go with it. I think at the base, on the overall scheme of things, is that you have this one life, and for me, it's all about living up to the potential of that life. And this is kind of right on the edge of what I know is I'm humanly capable of doing. I feel that I can do it, and so who am I not to not do it? I've always been not dumbfounded, but I've always been amazed that people are capable of so much, and I think fear plays a lot of role in it, and maybe consequences of life. But to me, it's just life's too short, and this is something that I love to do, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to adventure. I'm going to live life. And as far as specifically for the AT, why I want to do the AT, the AT is a part of, I feel like it's a part of me. We grew up in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up growing up and down this trail. My brother has the AT tattoo, so I've known about it since I was a kid. These are the trails that I used to play on, and now I have the opportunity. And the chance to take the record, and I can't think of for me it's a great privilege to do that, and to deny that, to not do it, would be the crime.
Oh, absolutely. And not to get all deep and whatnot, but there's a local guy in Murfreesboro. I don't know if you know him, but there's a race called the Middle Half there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a half marathon, and there's the guy who started it. His name is Miles Tate.
Okay.
Miles he's going to run the Boston Marathon. He's 62 years old, about to training to run the Boston Marathon. Great shape, and he went to sleep Sunday night, never woke up. Huge loss to the running community in Murfreesboro. But you talk about living a short life, and you never know. It's just like you live it to your fullest, because you never know when and what might be it, right? And I'm not trying to take this into some deep, spiritual route,
I can go deep.
but I'm sure when Miles went to bed Sunday night, he probably had no idea. I mean, like, he had just ran 19-mile training run the day before, and so he was, hit all eyes on Boston. He ran it multiple times, and a hell of a runner, fast guy, really fast, but you just never know.
That's right. I mean, in the last 4 months, I've buried my mother, my aunt, and just yesterday I buried my stepfather.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, so it's been a hard 4 months for me, but you never know. And so, actually, my mom and I used to have conversations about. She said, "Why do you do these things, and why do you go on these big adventures?" And I was just like, "Mom, I want to live. This is how I live life." So, anyways,
but yeah, I mean that's amazing, and I can appreciate all that, because I mean it's like you get out and you do these things because one day you may not be able to do them. Some people can't even do it, but to do the health and stuff. So talking about the AT, talking about the scope of that, your coach is Carl Meltzer. Carl Meltzer, the speed goat. I think everybody owns his shoes but me.
Yeah, I don't either. I have a pair of his shoes. I don't wear them anymore.
I've never worn them because I can't wear Hokas. Hence why I'm an ultra guy. But anyway, so him being your coach,
mm-hmm.
How has that played out in conversations? Like, did he basically lay out his kind of how he trained to do that, or what did that like? What does your training look like through him?
It's surprising. Carl keeps things very simple, and Carl knows what works really well for Carl. And I have to take his advice. And Carl, I do appreciate your advice more than anything. And I think Carl's a great coach, and I don't think anybody else is better to train me what I need for the AT. But his is very basic. Get these certain amount of miles in,
mm-hmm.
and also. Sorry, we got somebody.
We were going to be here for probably another 30 minutes or so.
Is that okay?
You know what's funny is I've been doing these interviews now for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this is the first time somebody's ever interrupted me. Like at Indian Springs, where we normally do this, there's cars all around you. You know that area, right?
Yeah.
Not a single person.
Yeah.
And we're in like the remote shelter.
I know. We're like, I didn't think anybody bothered us in this shelter. Anyways, so Carl Meltzer, where was I with it? So Carl's very direct. He's very basic. He said, John, run this on this day, run this one a little faster. That's to be interpreted. And just get, he's slowly building up my miles. But I came into this doing 100-mile weeks, and he put me back down to 60, and then now he's keeping me at 80. I did 122 last week, but that's just because I had the chance to,
right?
And I needed it.
So what's the thought process of like, I guess, what's the peak? Like, what's he have you at your peak?
I have no idea.
Also, you've not hit the peak yet.
I have no idea. No. So right now he's prescribing me 80-mile weeks, but I put a lot more into it than what Carl gives me. I put a lot of strength training into it. I put a lot of speed work into it. He doesn't prescribe those things. He does want you to move well on the trail, and he wants you. Carl really and he's probably right, and I'm probably wrong. He just wants you to get on the junk as much as you can, and move well through it. And so that's his prescription. And for me, what I really get from Carl is his insight on the trail. He has amazing. I mean, I've been listening to his podcast, just all his podcasts, different podcasts that he's done all day today while I've been running.
Right.
And I learned something new every time I talk, or not that I talk to him, that he talks to me.
Right.
So, and as we get a little bit closer, things are going to probably get a little bit more intense between us, as far as like not intense like we have friction, but more of, hey, we need to get your plan together. We get to get your crew. We got to get everything laid out, and so I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, that's exciting. And so you went up last year, right, and kind of scoped out the trail. Is that?
Yeah. I went up to Maine with Keith Overbay, Speed Nut, and Austin Gross, and Jack Sal's my chief, and Marla Albert eventually came up, and my wife came up, which was probably the scariest part for me. We matched Carl's times. We had we had a great first 2 days. I injured myself on the speed goats the first day. So
how ironic.
I see that in the video of my toe pussing up. So that was nice. There was a huge realization when doing that trip with that. I wasn't ready, and I had a lot more learning to do, and so it was hugely beneficial. Though I still don't know if I'm ready. If people ask me all the time, do you think do you think you're going to get it? And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to get it. And people are so shocked by that answer that I don't think that I'm going to get the FKT, and I don't think I'm going to get it, but I think I can do it, if that makes any sense to you. The probabilities of me getting this record are super low, man.
Right.
Like, if anything happens, rain that I can't get through and it causes some kind of where my car gets stuck or something like that, anything. I mean, the probabilities are not looking good.
No.
As far as from a physical standpoint, I feel pretty good. I feel like I can physically do it. I feel like I can mentally do it. It's something I'm good at, getting through and gritting things out. But as far as the unknowns, the probabilities are, a river could be up and I could be stuck there for a day. And with Corral's time, I can't afford to lose a day.
No, you can't. And I think you hit on something big. A lot of people who, if you're not in the mountains, you don't realize how unstable the weather is in the mountains.
Yeah.
True story. We were up there crewing a couple of friends trying to run SCAR last year, and the weather forecast looked highly favorable.
Yep.
We got up to Klingman's Dome, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
No snow in the forecast. Not a single. Nowhere. We had the weather app pulled up. We're like looking at it. We're like, okay, it says nothing about snow right here. No snow, no sleet, no ice. It just blew up. All of a sudden, like.
Yeah. There's in the trailer. There's a picture. I was like, oh, I'm a little freaked out because a lightning bolt just hit. A huge storm just rolled in. We were on the whites, and the weather up there is just, it comes in like that. And boom, huge lightning storm. I mean, lightning struck 50 yards away from me. And I was like, shit, man, it's scary. And then so I ducked down. And I have to stay down until the lightning, as much as I can, with my head between my knees until the storm goes through. And then get done with the storm. And then this is July, end of July, by the way. It starts hailing on me. Just doom, 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 doom. I was like, what's going on?
Like, does God hate me right now?
You shall not pass.
You know, like Gandalf, right?
Yeah. It's like, God.
Well, you know the worst place you can be in an electrical storm in a mountain is close to rocks.
No, I didn't know that. I thought it was trees.
No.
I was just trying to hide in
so I listened.
They carry current?
So I listened to a story about some guys that went, they went hiking, what's that, Half Dome. That's the big rock, right?
Oh, yeah.
Half Dome. And an electrical storm came up.
Yeah.
And so they all went.
on those fire?
Yeah, pretty much. And so they all got down into this cave, and they leaned up against the rock.
Oh, yeah.
Lightning struck the mountain. The rock conducts the electricity. It killed like 2 or 3 of them.
Wow.
So don't ever, PSA, don't ever lean up against a mountain rock. Now you know it's not just a tree.
Well,
tree and a rock.
I just bend down with they say to just bend down, put your head as close as you can to the ground.
That's smart. So like we said, we talk about the variables, and so I guess before we jump into strategy and planning and all that stuff, we're going to take like a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk about strategy.
Cool.
All right, we are back for part 2. Who knows how many parts it's going to be? And we're going to talk strategy a little bit. This is going to be the strategy portion of it. So when you're looking at something like this, I know you have like a van. Are you going, is the strategy to go like, far enough where you can meet them every day? And meet up with them, or we know Carl. When watching Carl, he had a very distinct strategy. It seemed like he was able to get aid quite a bit.
Yeah,
a whole lot.
Yeah, he likes his creature comforts. Like
surprisingly a lot. Like
yeah.
I was surprised how much access he had to people. What's your strategy? Like what's that look like for you?
Well, I hate to give it all away, but my strategy is kind of more along Carl's and string bean strategy. I mean, it's the only way you can really beat the overall time, and that's being super efficient with your time, and also you have processes, right? So every day you wake up at this time, you have this many minutes to get out of camp. When you get into an A station, you have this many minutes. You have to do this, and this. Everything has to be down to a T, and fine tuned. And you sure as hell better practice ahead of time. Like you said, we've practiced. Jack and I have practiced several times. We still have a ways to go, actually. As far as strategy while I'm on the trail, it's essentially 16 to 17 hours on, 7 hours off, is what it comes down to, or 7 to 8 hours off. And so that means sleeping wherever you can. I mean, if I'm within a mile of the van, then I would prefer to have the van.
Right.
With the nice AC and the nice bed.
Right.
But the truth is that it's camping, and I don't mind camping at all. Now you got to think that that's going to take up some time as well, getting down in camp and things like that. So I'll be looking for people to set up camp ahead of time or go out ahead of me, or just have a really efficient way, which I need to do some more research on. I mean, I have a bivvy that's pretty quick, but just a quick way to get down once you get to camp, and then you got to get back up. And so the best way to do it is to have somebody with you, and they take care of that. And you just keep going.
I got you.
Pop right up, go
and have them break the camp down. Because that was my next question: was how you were going to have somebody jump ahead of you, get everything set up. You roll in, sleep, get up, and go. So so.
And I don't have that the whole time. I mean, I wish I did, but it's so I got people through Maine all the way through New Hampshire. I'll probably get a crap ton of people once I start hitting Virginia. Once I get closer to the south, obviously. But those other states, I'm kind of on my own.
So you could technically, if you get 16 hours and there's a shelter close by, you could just sleep in a shelter if you needed to. I mean, worst case scenario, right? And
I'm not a big fan of shelters, but I'm even on some of these long runs, I just pop down sometimes and sleep. But shelters, you run into you're gonna have other people talking. You're gonna run into, you get a lot of animals in shelters as well.
Oh, yeah, a lot of bears.
A lot of it's the smaller ones, the mice, things of that nature.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Also, viruses are a huge issue. The rotavirus, you don't want to catch that, and that's rampant on the AT. So, and if you catch that, guess what? Your record's done. You're done. You're done. Like, my idea is just stay away from people as much as I can, and and just move well, and move and stay on it. Like I said, man, I feel bad peeing, and it's on all the time, and it's exhausting, and it's an emotional ride as well, as you can probably imagine. It's a lot of emotions going on, but I deal with those pretty well. I just let them happen, and understand that everything's kind of fluid.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, when you think of that, the amount of planning that's involved in figuring out which campsite you're going to be at, knowing this is where your folks have got to be to set up your camp, to move so that you can get a good night's sleep. Because let's face it, rest is critical. Even hell, 3 hours of sleep in something like this is better than 0. I mean, you prefer way more. You prefer way more than that, but
Carl averaged 8 hours a day.
How in the hell?
I don't know, because he's so damn fat. I'm not as fast as Carl, so I'm gonna have to grind it out. I mean, I'm just not as fast as Carl. The guy's got like 43 wins of 100s.
How many more has he got on Jeff Browning? I don't know how many Jeff's got, but Jeff, I know he likes to rub it in Jeff's face every minute that he can. That he's still the king of the 100 miles. But the guy's a monster. So that's how you're going to break down the, so camping, and then you got the van, and then nutrition wise, is it going to be a scenario to where you're going to have your basic nutrition, how much food are you going to pack in for that long of a stretch, 16 hours?
Well, I have crew meeting me throughout the day.
Oh, okay, so they're going to be meeting you.
Yeah, any chance they can meet me, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Anytime I can lighten my load, they're going to be there.
Gotcha.
So even if it's a mile down the road, John, you don't need to carry a pack on this one.
Gotcha.
I usually always carry my pack, and I usually always carry my water, just because I don't want to deal with taking it off and on. And it's just easier just to go, and the weight doesn't bother me that much. I might drop water if I'm only doing like a 3-mile section or something like that. But I meet my crew quite often, and if I don't need them, I just pass them on. As far as food, it just fluctuates, man. Like when I'm out on the Mahoosuc, I know I'm going to be out there all day. So there's different things that I like to take. I like to take ramen noodles in Ziploc bags, and then fill that up with water because I have filtered water or a filter on me, and let that sit for 10 minutes, and then I have ramen noodles. So of course I love unprocessed food, but it's pretty much 90% of this stuff is going to be heavily processed food.
Oh yeah, that's what you got. That's what you're gonna have to do pretty much. When you're looking at that too, I didn't realize until I started watching through hiking videos the power of ramen noodles. You can do a ton with ramen noodles, because I actually eat it for lunch a lot. The tuna mixed with the ramen noodles is amazing.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's funny because people see me eating and they're like, "That's disgusting," and I'm like, "Don't knock it till you try it."
It's good. It's got sodium, and it's delicious. And it's another one. I put Chef Boyardee in a bag, And I'm like, you know what, Chef Boyardee, someday children everywhere are going to thank you, and I thank you right now. I don't know if you remember that commercial, but
yes, I do. So it sounds like you basically have like your basic. You basically are going to be, your nutrition is going to be very similar to that of a cross between an ultrarunner and a thru hiker, to the standpoint of like, having the noodles and whatnot, and because you're going to have to. You're definitely going to. I mean, because there are going to be stretches where people aren't going to be able to access you, like like you mentioned, and so you're probably going to have to pack a little heavier. For that. So
I have dry meals, jet boils, things of that nature. The common things that most hikers have. The advantage we have is also the van. I have. IceCo was nice enough to be a sponsor and give me a very nice refrigerator. Which is fantastic. So now I can keep fresh food. I can keep cold drinks, which is essential for me, at least when hiking. And I can keep frozen food. So we can grill out.
That's awesome.
So that thing, my battery will run for 3 days without recharge on that refrigerator. So it's great.
So. Correct, and you can tell me, because I don't understand it on something the scale of this. How many calories would you need, like per hour of something of this scale? Because I know most thru hikers typically lose like 40 to 50 pounds typically. When they start, at least the males do. The females usually don't lose quite as much. But I know you have to be taking in a ton.
I eat a ton. I don't lose weight on these things. I don't know why. Granted, I've never done 40 days, but Carl lost 2 pounds or something like that. Now Jurek, he lost it was either 15 or 30. I forgot. I don't know. That's a double number, but he lost a lot of pounds he didn't have to lose. So he was quite skinny. But Carl, he only lost like 2 pounds, which is negligible, which could be just water weight.
Right.
So, I mean, I eat a lot. I come into those aid stations, man, and I'm downing chicken noodle soups and sandwiches, and I come out of there, my belly's huge.
Right, yeah. But that's what you want, though.
Yeah, and I carry a lot of food on me, and I keep constantly fueled. I just don't. I eat a lot, and I get. I can just keep going because of it.
And it sounds like you have a pretty good iron stomach. You can pretty much eat whatever.
I do. I kind of have an iron stomach. If I start eating spicy stuff, it goes downhill quickly.
That gets you.
Yeah, it gets me.
But you could easily eat a double cheeseburger and be fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with the old McDonald's double cheeseburger.
Oh, no.
In a race, they're like priceless, right?
Oh God. And Jack, he does a good job anytime he stops somewhere. Like, here's a burger and fries, and it's just like, it's the best thing you've ever had.
Oh, dude, they're so good when you're running these big races. It's like, or just any amount of heavy running, because I can pretty much eat whatever too and not have any issues. Thank God, because I know some people that just can't eat at all.
They have a lot of stomach. I don't have a lot of stomach issues.
Yeah, that's.
I have a healthy stomach, which means I poop a lot. But
me too. Me too. That's the only bad part.
Yeah, that's the only bad part.
That's the only bad part. So you have a pretty solid strategy. It sounds like of jumping, from the campsite to campsite, and then you're going into the van. And it sounds like from a nutrition standpoint, you have a solid,
somewhat. So I mean, and there's a lot more that goes into the nutrition. So I mean, and I haven't talked about the supplements that I take, and I take a lot of supplements.
And what are those?
I mean, the main ones, I'm trying to replenish muscle. And so I take a lot of creatine. Everybody should take creatine. I don't know anybody wouldn't if you just look at some of the studies, even from a depression standpoint. Creatine's fantastic. Protein powders, and there's a bunch of other stuff that I can get into on the Facebook page. But a lot of fish oil, things of that nature, things that are going to reduce inflammation, and things that are going to bring up my nitrates, and so. Yeah.
So did you come up with that on your own, or is that some stuff that you got through coaching or through somebody else who told you? What did that look like?
Well, so my stepfather was the head of infectious disease at Vanderbilt, and he knew a lot about supplementation. He knew a lot about everything. And also, one of my sponsors is Coolmit, and one of the advisors at CoolMint is actually one of the head of NASA nutrition, and so I've been on conversations with him about certain things to take and things I had no idea about that have advised me. So
that's crazy.
But the basics, the core stuff, I would definitely be taking. Every athlete should be taking creatine and protein powders. The idea is to reduce inflammation as much as you can and get back out there. And anything you can take to do those, and there's just some basic proven things that help that along.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I have certain smoothies that have those things inside of them every day. So taurine is another one, NAC, glycine. There's a lot of different things, but we won't get into all.
Wow.
Oh no, there's a lot. B12.
So your cabinet's full with stuff. Then you just
absolutely DMG, TMG.
That's probably why you're in such good shape.
I don't know about that.
You're in shape enough to attempt this. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take another quick break. We're gonna probably jump out and walk around a little bit and do a little bit more talking, and we will be right back. All right, we are now cruising along here at the park. Percy Warner.
Yep. Oh, this is Edwin Warner.
Edwin Warner.
Yeah.
There's the famous Blue Trail.
Yep.
Right there. A lot harder than people realize. But so I guess, when you think about the investment in this, we talked a little bit about the family part of it.
Mm-hmm.
How has this been for your family during this process?
My wife never appreciated or really liked these FKTs, the two previous ones you discussed. However, on this one, the fact that she came out to Maine with us was a huge experience for her. She got to see a first-hand experience of it.
Right.
And man, to be honest, I thought she was going to do terrible. And I thought my biggest concern was her.
Right.
That taking care of her and making sure her needs were okay while I was doing 50 miles a day in Maine and New Hampshire. And she just killed it. She took it by the reins. And so she earned the name Trail Boss.
Trail Boss.
Yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, she's like the boss. and she kind of fell in love with the process, I think. She won't admit it, but she's very committed to this record, which is awesome to have her be a part of it. So I've really actually enjoyed having her be a part of it. My son's going to be out there as well. Now, so from, that's also hard for me because when I get into these FKTs and I have people out there that I feel like I always, maybe being the RD of me, I always feel like I have to be taking care of people.
Right.
And making sure that they're having a good time and making sure they're enjoying their experience. You can't do that when you're doing an FKT.
No, you can't, because it's because you're the one that needs to be taken care of.
That's right. And so it's really hard for me to let go of that when there's certain people around. I just gotta learn to let go of that. But it'll be a unique experience. But when I get out to these things, it's very good for me just to focus on the trail and on the trail only. So we'll see. I am excited about them coming out for the first week to week and a half. As far as like the toll that it takes on us, I'm missing time right now. I've been running all morning. I'm missing time with my kid that I could be spending every morning. I'm missing like them waking up. I have to go out to the Smokies to train or somewhere else to train constantly. I'm exhausted at night, so it's hard for me to be as conversational as or as interactive as I need to be. So it's a huge toll. But there's also a cool side of it as well. That hey, Dad's doing something pretty big. We all understand this. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not a selfish act. It is, but it is something worth being selfish for, I feel. And it's something that I feel like in this case, in this scenario, in this time, has been a really good experience for my family overall. So, but there's no doubt that it's been. I definitely take away time from my family to do this.
Well, but one thing, and I don't know if you thought about this, is the impact that it has on your son, showing you, hey, Absolutely. Dad is going and doing something big. Look at the commitment that he's put into this. Look at the work, the hard work, the sheer amount of, investment to not quit, to not stop, to push and persevere. I mean, that is huge in itself. And, a lot of times we don't think of things like that. But, like, I know that, like, my kids see me running and stuff, and they're like, it's amazing what you do, that you just continue on and you don't stop, and like, you commit yourself to doing all this training, and it takes a huge amount of, the commitment alone. My daughter tells me all the time, like, I'm so proud of what you do, because it's such a hard thing, right?
Yeah.
And
awesome.
And I think
how inspiring is that?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, your kids see what you do, and they're like, well, damn, look at what Dad's doing. I mean, like, I want to have that kind of work ethic, and so, I think there's that element to it as well.
I hope so, yeah, and I appreciate you saying that.
And so I think, and I think the one other thing is, just like any ultra run or any sort of event, the emotional toll it's going to take on you.
Yes.
While you're doing it, preparing for it, like, how do you prepare for that? What does that look like?
There's everybody always asks me, like, how are you doing this? How are you preparing for this? In my experience, you don't really question the whys or anything like that. You just go for it. And that, because if you sit there and you question, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? Then, you're just going to keep sitting there, and you just at some point got to get up. As far as the emotions that go through, it's so big. Have you ever been close to like a cliff edge and you get that like feeling in your stomach?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Every time I think about the AT and all that's going to be involved, I get that feeling throughout my body. Like, seriously, like, I get that feeling, and it's because it's just so big, and it's such a huge experience. And I do meditate, and I think things a lot, but I don't know how to approach this thing. It's so massive, it's so big, it's such a huge undertaking, and it kind of just goes back to what I said at the beginning, which is you just got to take it one step at a time, and you just got to say, well, it's going to happen. Emotions are going to come. This thing is going to be hard, and there's going to be times where I am miserable beyond anything I've ever seen before, and that's okay. As long as I can keep moving, that's all that really matters. And I don't think about these things as, hey, there's 2,190 miles to go. It really is just, there's only the next stop or the next step in front of me. And that's kind of how I manage these things. As far as like emotions, there is for me, it's hard to get up in the mornings, and it's bad at night. Throughout the day, I'm a beast.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And I know that happens every time. Yeah. I start doubting myself at night. I can't do this. This is stupid. What am I doing out here? I get up. I don't know if I can make it today. That's typically what's going through my head.
Right.
And then I get out there. I start feeling good. And you would think I would know by now. Like, hey, John, like, this is going to... You say this every day, man. Like, it's okay. You're going to be fine. But you come back with, no, this. I don't know if I can make this one. And you get out there, you're like, oh, actually, I'm doing pretty good. And it's that can-do attitude where you just keep going, unless something physically is wrong with you. You don't make any choices while you're emotional or while you're having a bad day. If you're going to quit on a good day.
That's right. So yeah, and I think that's big, because like, I think a lot of times we, us as human beings don't realize that a lot of times we do things that we think are physical restraints, we don't complete them, and it's mainly a mental handicap of some sort, right? You get it in your head, and you're like, I can't do this because, mentally you're in such a dark place that it's not like you can't complete it physically. It's just like you just can't, once you get into that headspace and you can't get out of it, then that's pretty tough. And I think that, your approach is pretty spot on. Stop to stop. Don't look ahead. Make it through one stop, then you make it to the next stop, right?
Yep.
It's kind of because you're essentially doing a through hike to some extent, and when you're through hiking, that's how it is, right? You plan out your day. I go to this stop and I eat, sleep, do whatever, and then
do 6 miles. John, you've done 6 miles a million times before.
Right.
You got 6 miles. Okay. That was just felt like crap that whole 6 miles. Okay. Well, then you get there, you're like, oh well, you know what? Maybe I'll try another 6 miles.
Right.
And man, it's just that. It's really that be here now kind of attitude of that everything's going to be okay. You just got to keep moving. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely some dark times, which I'm sure you've experienced.
Oh
as well.
Yeah, I did just past weekend when I ran the Seven Trails Ultra Festival. I hit some dark places, and and I'm still trying to figure that out for myself. But I think and I guess the one question, and this probably could be how we end this whole thing, is what happens if you get a few 100 miles out, and I'm just going to give you a huge hypothetical.
Okay.
It doesn't look like you're going to make it. Do you finish it out just to finish it out, or do you stop, or what? Have you thought of something like that?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think so I'm not going to make the record.
Right.
A few 100 miles. I don't know. I would. If I was just a few 100, man, I would probably just go back and because I got some time, so I would probably just go back and try to restart again or something, wait a week and start again. But if I got pretty halfway through, I would probably finish it out.
Yeah, and that was my question. I didn't gauge it right, but if you made it pretty far out through it all, and it looked like you weren't going to hit the overall record, but you had covered a lot of ground already, would you just go ahead and finish it out just to get that finish?
Yeah, I mean, I would ask my wife if that's okay. She might want to hey, let's just save it for another time.
Right.
But you have to keep in mind that I love this shit. So.
Right. Right. Now is your van scoped out to where people can sleep in it
it has room for Jack and I.
Gotcha. And so he's pretty much going to be a huge. I mean, he's
crew chief. He switches out with Marla in Virginia, but because he has to be. But he might make the whole thing, depending on how fast I am.
Well, I think you've got a good shot to do it. I mean,
I believe that I can do it. I full-heartedly believe that I can do it. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe that I could do it. But I'll say again, I don't think that I will get it because the chances are not in my favor. But I am going to try. If you know me, when it comes race time, I put it all on the line.
You're going to go, and I mean, and that's what's important. And I think that's what's important is knowing that that it's the odds aren't good, right? And when you say that, it's just for those football fans. A few years ago, the New England Patriots were about to lose the Super Bowl to the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
At the end of the game,
yeah.
And the Seahawks were on the 1 yard line about to score, and Russell Wilson throws an interception.
Runs it all the way back.
And the game ends because the Patriots are already winning. And so the game ended. Okay. And so the sliver chance of the New England winning that game, it was you went on ESPN and the chances of Seattle winning it at that point was 99.9% because all they had to do was score a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
and he threw an interception, and they lost the game. The odds of that happening, slim to none, right?
Right.
Just like when you attempt something big and hard, you know, sometimes the odds may not be good, but there's always a chance.
There's always that chance.
There's always a chance you're going to nail it, and I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward to it. But that's it for this one. We're gonna wrap it on up.
Okay. Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been a great time, and it's been nice to get back out and do an in-person interview. So,
except for the girl.
You know what? We're walking. True story. We're walking now because we wanted to allow this family to have this pavilion because we're good human beings. But that's it for this one.
Right.
And as always, this will be on video and audio. And we will talk to you later. We'll see you on the trail.
Take care.